we're turning tables or switching seats now. Because instead of you asking me questions, I want to talk to you a bit about your life and what's happening in your life now. I had spoken in another discussion we had about the fact that we're going to be doing a live show in Princeton in March about cultivating compassion for our aging parents and our aging selves. And I noticed you had a very strong reaction to that. So could you just briefly tell us what's happening with your father who has dementia and what's happening with you?
Sure. Yeah. My dad has had dementia for probably close to 15 years, if not more. And, with dementia, it comes on slowly, it's memory loss, but I'd say within the past 2 years, he's really, the dementia has really advanced, where in the past year, we had to have 24/7 care for him, to watch him and to be with him, and he was living at home with my mom. But most recently, he started going through this very aggressive, violent stage, which has just become totally unsafe for him to be home, unsafe for the people around him. So for the past 6 months, we realized that we really couldn't keep him home anymore. So
that's a really, really hard decision.
Yeah.
For you and especially for your mom.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially part of our culture. We come from an Italian background family, and the culture is always to take care of our aging people at home, and to put them anywhere is not the right thing to do.
Most of the world
feels that way.
This country,
yeah,
not so much.
Yeah. So it's been a very long and hard struggle for all of us, for me, for my dad, for my family, my mom, my brother. But just about 5 months ago, well, more than that, when we started looking at places, and I hate to call them facilities because it's so cold, but we started looking because the issue with my dad, and with so many now that I'm learning who have dementia or Alzheimer, is that they really don't fit into any one bucket. So they have assisted living places that have memory care units. Then they have, skilled nursing facilities. So in June, we had actually placed my dad at an assisted living with a memory care unit.
All right. So far, so good.
He lasted there 2 days. Because he needs a little more care. I mean, he was self-sufficient. He could dress himself, but he needed to be directed to have his clothes put out and to be dressed. They don't provide that kind of service.
Wait a minute. They're called memory care.
What I learned, and it could be different in every state, but what I've learned for the most part here in the Northeast, these memory care units really don't have much regulation, and the only thing that they need to have to call themselves a memory care unit are to have locked doors, of which my dad escaped out of the first 3 hours he was there because he is very active. He's ambulatory. He wants to move. It's just his mind. So we took him back home after 2 days because that was not a solution. We left him at home. We had the caregivers come again.
So what I'm hearing is you're not finding resources.
No.
For this man who you have loved and who has loved you your whole life, and you cannot find a way to care for him in a way that's sound, moral, and ethical. And you, of all people...
I was just going to say, the most frustrating part of it is that I have access to resources. I'm educated on this because of what we all do, and I have contacts, and I have everybody at the tip of my fingers.
And speaking of resources, your dad might have Medicare,
Mm-hmm.
like almost
Most, right?
all of us do
Right.
over a certain age.
Yes.
Medicare doesn't pay for what you've had at home.
No,
With
this
aides at home.
it's all been private.
Yeah, if you're lucky, they'll pay for a couple hours a day.
Not even.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the most disturbing thing, besides what we're going through, I think about the millions of people out there who don't have access to resources, who don't have the financial resources to do what we have been able to do. There's no place for these people.
So what you've experienced is not just lack of resources, lack of compassion, kindness,
Yeah.
and respect. And you know what? It's not just the people, and it is many, if not most of the people. It's the institutions.
Yes.
It's institutional disrespect, a way of kind of turning their back on people's humanity.
Yeah.
Their humanity.
And I don't know, and I still struggle with it because, you know, we're still going through it. I don't know if it's the people that they have no compassion. I don't know if it's the people become like that because of the institution and what is being required of them. But, you know, I left a geriatric psych facility where my dad is at right now in order to get his meds to help him not to be so violent. And I was there over the weekend, and I witnessed people who really didn't care about my father. And I don't want to put that out there saying that everybody is like this, because I know everybody is not. But in this one place, I distinctly get the feeling that the old people don't matter. And for me, that's my father. That is a person. Where is the compassion? But then I think about on large, how many people are out there that are experiencing this, and they don't have somebody to advocate for them. They don't have anybody checking on them. What happens to them?
Part of the problem, as I see it, and by the way, I have been feeling the same outrage and helplessness for my cohorts for decades.
Yes.
Same problem. And what we tend to do, this absence of compassion, we turn our backs on that which scares us about ourselves. So when we hear so-and-so died of cancer, or what's the first question we ask? How old were they?
Right.
Did they smoke? Ways to distance ourselves from them. We don't want to put our arms around, our hearts around, make full eye contact with somebody who is us, but more dependent, more confused, more helpless, people who are our frightening future. So this special I'm doing is about cultivating compassion, but not just for our aging parents, but for our aging selves, our aging communities. Hold our aging bodies with kindness, and then we can hold our aging parents with kindness. They are us. And you and I have a responsibility to teach that.
Oh, yes. Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for doing this today.
I'm sorry, Rosie. I really am.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's tough.